There are two issues I'd like to raise before going on into an analysis of the piano trio in E-flat by Franz Schubert. The first is concerning the poetry-music correlations that I am affirming. I say that they are terribly important to us to know what those correlations are, because they were important to Schubert in his inspiration and therefore should be interesting to us in our understanding, in our listening to the art that he created out of them. The poetry-music correlations are affirmed again and again in descriptions of how he composed his music. And most musicologists assume that this relates only to the leader. But it didn't just relate to the leader or to the operas. It relates to the instrumental works in a very special way, because it is the art itself is expressing something, it's saying something, and what Schubert was saying was terribly important to him. And so therefore, for us to know what he is saying, it's not just enough to listen to the music. It's going to help us immensely to know what the inspiring poem was. That is because there's a certain limitation of music in its expression of reality. And there's a certain limitation of poetry in its expression of reality. And to put the two together, hopefully, transcends, at least to some extent, that limitation. Secondly, I want to raise the problem of the way the way that Schubert gives expression, not just to sorrow, not just to the dark side of life, but the way he gives expression to sublime hope and joy. And someone who's familiar with the leader, someone who's familiar with the depths to which Schubert can go in Winterreise, for instance, or in Schwanengesang, would say, well, wait a minute, you're talking about a person who is transfiguring darkness by light, transfiguring sorrow by hope. How could this be? The depths of the sorrow, the depths of the darkness are so intense. It sounds foolish. It sounds like it's simply a subjective imposition to say that there is sublime hope, sublime light in this Schubert. And yet, I say that it is important, centrally important, to recognize that the depths of the descent and the height of the ascent are linked to one another in Schubert. This is part of the magic of his art, and to miss it is to miss Schubert completely. Let's see how this works in one of his major pieces, the piano trio in E-flat. In this piano trio, you have a descent into life at its worst, at its darkest. And then you have an ascent. And this is basic to Schubert's art from beginning to end. So what is the poetry that inspired this music? The first poem that we'll talk about is Totengräber's Heimweh. This is the homesickness of the gravedigger. The gravedigger is deep, buried himself into the darkness of life. It was written by Jakob Nikolaus Krager as Deutsch 842 in April of 1825, a year of the eruption of masterwork after masterwork. O race of men, O life, to what purpose? To dig, to bury, night, day, again and again, the driving, the searching, and for what? For what? Lower him into the grave, O destiny of man, O dreadful task. I can stand it no longer. Here is a man who is almost ready to take his own life. When, hour of peace, will you sound for me? Death, come, close my eyes. Life is, alas, so dreary. The grave is so friendly and cool. But who will lay me in it? I am alone, so terribly alone, bound solely to death, standing on the brink of life, holding a cross, and I stare with desire down into the deep grave. And then something different. O homeland of peace, world of the blessed, I am bound to you with a mystical tie. From away in the distance comes the glimmer of eternal light. The stars disappear, my eyes dim. I sink, dear ones, I come. You'll notice in your own life how darkness seems to precede light in what you try to create and what you try to do. There's a period of chaos, and out of that chaos, ultimately, can come, at times, what you're seeking. And Schubert takes that chaos, takes that darkness, and gives it to us in ultimate intensity. He does this in Winterreise, the cycle of songs, and he does it in Schwanengesang. He does it again and again, taking us into the agony of lost love, of the impossibility of achieving our dreams, the impossibility of reaching the goal to which we reach, to which we want, the impossibility of reaching our goal in life. But at the same time he does that, he points to the transcendence of life. He points to what is beyond this life as not being removed from it completely, but being its ultimate goal, that we must transcend it through death in order to achieve our dreams. So then he goes to the second movement, which is a translation of a poem, Säsolen Junker, a Swedish folk song. This is not a song that he set as a lead. It's unique in that. And the poem reads this way. See the sun going down behind the high mountain tops. O beautiful hope, you flee for the dark shadows of night. Farewell, farewell. The friend forgot his faithful and sweet bride. So the dream is impossible. The hope in life to make a heaven on earth, to make it in your family, to make it in your job. These dreams you achieve and yet must let go. There's a disappearance of the joy and the hope, and there is the inevitability of death. This is central to Schubert, but central to him also is the fact that that dream somehow does not disappear. The dream simply reaches another level, and it will reach another level in this second movement. When he says, farewell, farewell, it's at one and the same time a farewell to earth and an openness, an embrace of what is coming. So the farewell to earth is set in these descents, sharp descents in the music. The openness to what is coming by sharp ascents that reverse the music of the descent. This is central to Schubert. It is not simply a portrayal of life in its ugliness, life in its limitations. It is always a portrayal of those limitations and ugliness in the process of being superseded by the dream itself, which has a future that goes beyond this life. In the third movement, there is a poem, Night Music, by Carl von Seckendorf. This third movement's music is Deutsch 848. 848 was August of 1825, the same creative, volcanically creative year. So he says, I will play for you a song on my flute. All of a sudden, he's playing a song on his flute. After this deep descent into darkness, he says it will be a song of nocturnal joy, a song of the darkness. Come outside, take joy in the evening's twilight enchantment. Look, all is now asleep under the watchful eye of the moon. Worries disappear. The country is cradled in sleep, cradled in love. So don't delay, get up, all of you, all the stars are joyfully awaiting you. They are kind to good people, sprinkling golden treasures from their distant vaults. So, and here's important again, come and join us on our quiet path. No false wind will blow. Be greeted, where? Here in the darkness. Night unites us even closer when one holds the other's hand. And so in this song of darkness, there is a joy, there is a beauty that Schubert can express like no one else. So he says, with harp and flute in sweet harmony, come, share our joy. In the nighttime stillness, your eye will be blessed, your heart fulfilled. Finally, in the fourth movement, we return to Johann Ladislas Pirke. His poem is Die Allmacht, and it is Deutsch 852. So we have taken Deutsch 842, 848, and 852. And these are poems that unite in expressing this journey through tragedy, darkness, night, and death, a journey to the light. Great is Jehovah the Lord. Heaven and earth proclaim his might. You can hear it in the thundering tempest, in the cascading roar of the waterfall. Hear it in the whisper of the forest, in the golden fields of corn, the splendor of the flowers and majesty of the stars. Terrifying his thunder and the flame of his lightning, but still more does your heart reveal Jehovah's might and love when it reaches upwards in prayer looking through its tears, and trusts in his love and mercy. Great is Jehovah the Lord. This is terribly important, this looking through, and then there seems to be falling in the music. What is it that's falling? Are there tears that are falling? Or is it the grace of God that is coming down upon the wanderer? There is a confusion between this, and that it's intentional because it's both. Here is an allegory that is so beautiful. This particular piece of music is, of all the extraordinary works, it's certainly one of the most extraordinary. I hope you enjoy it.